Air Marshal Aamir Masood sir. Sir, question for you, which I shared with you in the morning, that EF operations during Banana Masood were indeed outstanding and highly commendable. Would you like to highlight the key factors in our success? How do you see the use of space-based systems in the emerging situations in Indo-Pak context, sir?
Being a fighter pilot, I will not be very diplomatic, like Azhar Saab also. So I'll be straight to the point. Less of Air Force talk and more of the strategic lessons which we think we should be coming out with. और जिस तरह Master साहब ने कहा कि it's very important that we come out with true lessons कि हमने क्या सीखा है. तो मेरे ख्याल में अगर हम एयर फोर्स की बात करते रहे या आर्मी की बात करते रहे तो लेसन्स तो नहीं निकलेंगे, ये तो टेक्निकल ऑपरेशन लेवल के होते हैं. लेसन्स अगर हमारा यहाँ से शुरू होना चाहिए तो वेयर द पहलगाम इंसिडेंट्स हैपेंड एंड बीइंग अ थिंक टैंक एंड देयर आर मेनी रिसर्चर्स आल्सो सिटिंग. तो पहले तो हमें ये डिसाइड करना चाहिए कि वाज इट अ स्टेज मैनेज्ड थिंग, वाज इट बाय सम थर्ड पार्टी, or was it because nations, many in the global north, use sub-conventional means for their political objectives? तो ये कोई बुरी बात नहीं है, मतलब इसमें किया जाता रहा है और करते रहे हैं. कारगिल हुआ और चीज़ें हुई तो इसमें मतलब बट इट हैज़ टू बी इन लाइन विद द पॉलिटिकल ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. और फिर मूडी जब ये कह रहा था कि जो टूरिज्म है वो बहुत इंक्रीज हो गया कश्मीर में, repeatedly he has said, and he was saying that is the safest place for the people to come and visit. And then he was achieving his objectives through Jafar Express and so many other things that leading us through 1,000 cuts. And जिस तरह संजू कहता है to subdue the enemy without firing the bullet is the acme of skill. So he was achieving all that. So कोई game theory नहीं कहती कि उसको अटैक करना चाहिए था या उसको डायरेक्ट कन्फ्रंटेशन में आना चाहिए था या काइनेटिक मीन्स इस्तेमाल करने चाहिए थे जब नॉन काइनेटिक से और फिफ्थ जनरेशन से वो अचीव कर रहा था. सो नाउ सेकंड पॉइंट, फर्स्ट टाइम दे केम ऑन 2016 विद शॉर्ट एक्सकर्शंस, जिसे उन्होंने कहा कि सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक्स हमने किए हैं. Then in 2019 they came and for the first time after I think 1971 they threw the bombs in our territory. So they were more ferocious second time. So what we did was we were able to shoot their 2 jets. We won the battle. But then Modi and through his media, fake and fictitious, they were able to win elections. So practically they were able to achieve their strategic objectives. We may have won the battle, but they won the war. And they also changed the status of Kashmir subsequently. Was it enough to create or to re-establish deterrence to shoot 2 jets? I personally think no, it wasn't. We should have shot more. तो यासर साहब जो कह रहे थे कि मैं उस आपसे जिक्र कर रहा था कि जहाज और भी मार सकते थे, तो मैं तो कहता था कि मारने चाहिए थे. और and you have to escalate to de-escalate. So that was what is important because you have to go asymmetric. You have to give that much pain and cost to the enemy that he should not ever think next time for coming in. And the third time they came not only in the LOC but also across 12 targets, international border, and they had the guts to throw the missiles 100 kilometers inside our border. We were able to shoot 6 jets. That was, I think, जिस तरह Chief Marshal ने कहा, it was another mission for Pakistan Air Force pilots because of their training. And that wasn't that difficult. जो हम ट्रेनिंग में जितनी डिफिकल्टी होती है हमारी और जो डिमांड्स होती हैं, तो it was definitely that professionalism, that institutional strength, and of course the leadership and the decision making, etc. They were there. But if we would have shot, we had shot 6 Whether we are able to establish our deterrence, I still think no. They started to throw their missiles and hitting our targets like very sensitive targets like Chiklala base and other bases, which has never happened ever that they use their surface-to-surface missiles against us. And by the way, the first strike which they did, actually Indian Air Force was given only 2 targets out of the 10 targets. The remaining targets were by the surface-to-surface missiles. And still they lost 6 jets. I mean, that is a shame on them, because Modi has been forcing Air Force for sub-conventional attacks which they are not actually prepared. Their chiefs have successively told their leadership that आप 2 front war की बात करते हैं, हम 1 front पे नहीं लड़ सकते because of the paucity of the aeroplane, the technology integration, the decision making, and so much of bureaucratic hurdles in so many projects which have been delayed so many times. Lekin what I think, it's my personal view, Air Chief was talking about many of the things which he also got from the Air Headquarters. But whatever my experience says, that we should have on the day 2 and 3, once their CDS says that we were grounded, we should have gone and shot at least 25 jets more who were sitting ducks. So that is where the cost would have been very heavy for them, and they would not have dared to come up again. And then they would not have been able to say this thing that Sindoor is still continuing. That means that they have not stopped with the same rhetoric. And for them, our conventional deterrence or whatever establishment, we have not been able to re-establish that. They will come again, and sooner than later. But I'm not sure whether they will come the way they came this time. It may be in some other way, and which we have to be very conscious and cautious of. जो आपने इसराइल का देखा कि insiders were used to position and park so many assets and to destroy the assets. So ये जो irregular means हैं, I'm sure that is where they're going to employ and deploy to harm us or to give us any sort of damage. So this is my take as far as the whole this scenario is concerned. बाकी जो मतलब lessons हैं उसमें definitely Air Force will be a instrument of choice for any of the future leadership. Politicians need to understand and need to study more about the changing dynamics of war which are happening, and they should be able to gain at least some strategic insight so that they are able to take better decisions in future. And of course I agree with that it should not be left to the army and the Air Force and military only to take these decisions, because war is a continuation of political ends. So the politicians have to be that much proficient in national security things, and they should be able to take decisions or at these critical junctures, because national security is not only military, it has to do with diplomacy, it has to do with information ops, it has to do with economy and law affairs, etc. So these are all part of national security. And all these elements, these institutions have to be strong. Otherwise, the national security will not be in its true sense. We have, for the first time under Moeed Yusuf, we formulated a national security policy, and in that economy was the number one thing. And we should follow those things, and that's the most important thing as far as I understand. Lastly, my point is regarding that in future we will have to go for preemption. Preemption should be the new norm for Pakistan Air Force, because we have always been waiting for the reaction and response. Reaction and response not only takes away our narrative, but it's also give legitimacy to the Indians that they have the right to respond. And they will select their point in time of choosing and surprise and deception and everything. Whereas Pakistan, being a smaller air force, smaller military, have in the past going for preemption, and that is the best strategy for any smaller air force. To knock out their facilities, their jets at the earliest in the war to create some numerical parity. So I personally think that in future, in the diplomatic way in the diplomatic field as well as in the military field, we should go for preemption and offensive rather than being defensive. Thank you very much.